Hey everybody, what you're looking at right now is pretty much a touched up version of the other Wallbreaker Ghost. This is the one that Johnny had completely built and already had cheesecloth. I just went back tonight and touched up a few things. Some of the cheesecloth was falling off. His left arm was rubbing and sort of pushing forward, so I fixed that. A couple other little minor things, but I fixed his head a little bit. There was a part that was had come unglued where it was sort of like pinched together. You can kind of see it sort of forms like a little bit of a jawline. So I fixed that too. But basically, I mean, if you've watched the video of this guy before, it's going to look exactly the same, but I figured, hell, why not? I just spent a few hours screwing around with him, so I might as well turn him on and show you guys what he looks like now. Oh, but more importantly, this is the first time I have him hooked up to my new power box and power cable and yada yada, so it's working good. And let me turn the black light on, give you something to look at while I do all this. Ooh, he's so pretty. Hold on. Alright, lights on. Turn him on. Let me turn the light off. It's going to be dark for a second, so don't get scared. Hold on. There we go. Alright, and this time I'm going to try to videotape him a little bit better than I did the one from a week ago. As you can see, this guy has hands. He's also, his cloth on him is much more flowy. Like it's sort of designed to, blow in the wind a little bit more. And obviously his head is a completely different shape. It's less of a skull, more of a, just sort of a form of a head, I guess you'd say. Hold on, I'm really super picky about the cheesecloth getting stuck on other pieces of cheesecloth and stuff. But yeah, let me hold it still so you can kind of see his full movements. This guy has a little bit more distance of movement with his upper body and his arms than the other one. Not by much. The head pretty much still moves the same left and right distance, but his whole rig is just a little bit larger than the other one. And I'll just hold this for a few more seconds and then I'll cut the lights off and talk about a little bit more about him. But I realized when I pulled him out that he had some rubber bands as a sort of like tension helpers. I don't know the word to say, but he had rubber bands that helped so there wasn't as much vibration. And when he gets to a certain, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the light back on. Hold on a second. When he gets to a certain spot, sometimes on these guys, the tension on them can cause them to bounce a little bit. So he had a few rubber bands to help with the tension. Let me turn him off real quick. Hold on. And there we go. And I'd forgotten about that. So I went back to him and added a rubber band, which you're not going to be able to see because I painted it black probably, but yeah, you definitely can't see it. Anyways, right roughly where I'm showing you on the camera, there's a rubber band that I just looped around the main pole, so now he doesn't bounce quite as much. He had a little bit of a bounce when he was going down, so now he goes down a little bit smoother. But I'd forgotten about that. But as I was going through this guy and bringing him back out and kind of screwing around with him, there's a few tips and pointers that I sort of realized and came up with that people that are building Flying Crank Ghosts or something similar, or using cheesecloth. Whew, holy crap, it's hot in here. If you're mainly, I guess, after you've already made it, because I'm sure if you're making it you wouldn't be doing this, but when you store it, don't store it somewhere where there's going to be a lot of sawdust or debris from something else, because I spent an hour picking sawdust chunks out of his cheesecloth, and trust me, they really show up in the blacklight, having bits, of little wood chips and stuff, especially if they're dark. Um, so yeah, don't store your cheesecloth props somewhere where you're also going to be working or something's going to be flying around. Because next thing you'll know, you'll go over and pull it out and turn a blacklight on it, and it won't glow very bright. So another thing is if you can kind of tell on this guy. Inside of him, you can see the wood back there is not painted black. And that guy over there, all his wood was painted black. And when you're doing a prop like this where you want very distinct color contrasts, for instance, you just want the cheesecloth to glow and you want the background of it to be all black and fade away, you got to paint that stuff ahead of time. Because obviously if you can't really use spray paint or something on something that has cheesecloth afterwards, you're just probably going to get it all over it. I've gone back and tried to repaint over some of the areas that stick out a little more and some shiny metallic parts, some of the pulleys and stuff. Just put some black tape and stuff over them, just because I'm not going to be having the display out in a completely dark area. I have a lot of their lights and strobe lights and stuff, and just stuff shining on it or putting a light on it. If you can see the rig underneath, it kind of can ruin the effect. So, but that's about it, I guess. The biggest thing that I wanted to make sure between the two of them is that they look different, and I think they definitely look a lot different from each other. He has, you can tell, just a sharper, sort of like ripped and torn look to him. And when he moves, it's almost like a stiffer look, like the fabric's a little bit stiffer. It still moves and blows in the breeze, but this guy definitely has a more ghostly, what you'd, I guess, imagine, or most people would make a flying crank ghost and stuff out of. They want to blow in the wind. So I'm happy that they're very different from each other. If anyone has any questions about how these guys are made or upkeep on cheesecloth material on props and stuff like that, I know a few people I've seen, they've said they're just making flying crank ghosts and stuff for the first time now. I'm not an expert, but definitely not. I've only made a couple of myself now, but I own quite a few that all come from different angles and have different pulley systems. And I know, Jay, you were talking about the pulley system from under the table for that you saw that dude do, and I can't remember the name, but for the seance table. So if you have any questions, or just even dumb questions like, I don't understand why this part's rubbing or this part's not doing something right, I've pretty much touched for 20 hours, 25 hours, I'd say now on these guys, and the Lear Ghost and everything else, just retooling them and going back and kind of fixing them up. So feel free to ask. And I'm sweaty and hot, and I'm tired, so I'm going to let you guys go. One last look at Mr. Wallbreaker number 2, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.